in June I got access to Midjourney, and like late June,
Got it.
and then I was just I think that first day I had access, I think I stayed up to like 4 a.m. just making stuff.
Mm.
Um, I already had access to like Crayon. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I have
It's like
not.
it's an early version. It's a free version, early version of OpenAI's Dolly.
Okay.
And Dolly's does more like photorealistic AI generated stuff, and a little bit like it's less artistic and it's more representational.
Hmm.
Um, whereas Midjourney is learned primarily from artwork. It's algorithms based on artists, which is like we could argue the ethics around that, right? Like, but if like yes, and you can choose like an artist. Like some of the videos that I've made are like in the style of a specific artist, like Dolly and Escher, two that I picked, and like Basquiat, and
Hmm.
like those are not to like make something that takes away from them, but it's like inspired by because it's something new. Um, and I feel like it's not too different than if I'm like listening to Deltron on my headset, right, in the headphones, and I'm drawing on my iPad and I make a mashup of things that I'm thinking about. Like I have full control over that outcome, but like putting that idea into Midjourney gets me like an idea of what that might be quicker.
Hmm.
I don't think that outcome is mine. Like me putting in text, getting an image, it doesn't it doesn't feel like it's mine. It feels like it's my idea. It feels like I'm like maybe like contracting someone to do a project. Like
Right.
if I asked someone to design a logo, I can give them like my like constraints and like what I want that to be, an outcome that I'm looking for, and then they come back with some artwork, right? It's the same process. So that's drumming up some fears in some people, but also you can tell it's AI. So like I think all of July I was just messing with AI. Like little like on my Instagram, you can go back to that point and you can kind of see some like earlier versions of what these videos might look like, but they're just like single images kind of like fluttering around.
Hmm.
It was like a happy accident. I like accidentally generated the same image. Like you can, like you mentioned, it says like you can input text and they call that a prompt. So
Right.
you you structure your prompt and then you have it imagine that. It's really neat. You say imagine and then you put in what you want it to imagine,
Hmm.
and then it shows you a grid. And then if you want one of those options to be larger, you can upscale it. And upscaling means it makes it bigger, but it interprets what all those details are because it's like low res in the grid,
Hmm.
and then it becomes like high res, and then there's one more layer of that where you can upscale it again, and that requires a paid account with them. But I've been doing that version so I can get these like high resolution images out of it,
Hmm.
and they're not that great for print. Like I think at 300 DPI, which is what you want to print things at, and screen resolution is more 72 DPI.
Right.
Um, so if you like make it where it's 300 DPI, it's around 5.5 inches at the longest side that you can print a Midjourney image at the appropriate resolution
Got
for
it.
printing.
Right.
So I was like learning these like constraints of what the AI could do image wise, but in one of those upscales, I thought I hadn't pushed the button yet, and so like I kept pushing it, and then it spit out like 10 of the same image, each one like slightly different,
Hmm.
but just slightly different. So like if you notice in the videos, they're kind of like a little bit like a weird texture moving around.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. How did you make it move?
Yeah, that was just an accident, like a glitch that I like. So now I like intentionally make certain amounts of the images to then loop together to give it a texture because on a static, like if you just put the image, it's like a slideshow.
And like, even if
But
you had film grain, it would still just be like a slideshow
yeah,
with film grain. Got
it's
it.
just a cool image. But then this becomes like its own, I don't know what to call it. Like it's its own thing. But I started doing these like little visuals like that and putting like a music track to it on Instagram, just like choosing something for a reel, like choosing an audio,
Hmm.
and then putting like a single image, like Michael Jordan playing Michael Scott in one on one. You know,
Yeah.
like what does that look like? And then um like Michael Jordan as an actual goat, you know, like what does that look like? So like so those are some of my like Bob Ross with but his hair is made out of Weird Al Yankovic. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just like weird thoughts that I can draw, and I've drawn a lot of things in the past that are weird like that. Um, but like the AI is thinking differently than I would. Like my outcome would also be weird, and but it would have a human touch to it. These are weird in a way that isn't human, and that is to me very exciting because it's new. But at the same time, there's people that like I get comments like all the time on these videos now, like this is soulless. It doesn't have like it's just
Mm.
interesting to me. I don't take anything personally with the feedback. Um,
But do you think the fear is valid with people being like maybe directors are going to lose their jobs or certain artists might lose their jobs or what would you say to that?
it maybe it might happen. Like I think if you're learning the tools and you're making things with it, then you're not losing anything. But you're also not necessarily going to have something taken from you. Like they're going to serve different purposes, and some things like I don't know what the I don't even think it's really a music video. I just didn't know what to call it. I just like here's a thing. It's to music. It's not a music video. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing. But I just tried to make it like digestible to understand. So I don't think it's at a place like I don't think AI is smart enough or like mature enough. Let's put it that way. It's very smart, but it's smart like in a limited knowledge. Like each AI is smart with its like specific thing. When we talk about decentralized stuff, there's no connective tissue between AIs, right?
Right.
And so that's going to be that way for a very long time, and it would have to be intentional for them to like integrate.